Hello, and welcome to my tank tier list. Today I'll show you my tier list of tanks in the current meta, and I'll explain why they're good or not in the current meta and how will you play them. I'll make another tier list for that, like their roles in team fights and or in laning and stuff. So let's start with the basic Mobile Legends tanks tier list. So first, Akai. I'll put him in the S tier simply because, or he's borderline OP in the right hands because a good Akai can change the tide of a game so much because a good Akai can single out someone from a team fight. He can do many things. He can engage. He can peel, which peel means protect. So he can protect like allies from dying because of his ultimate and his strong CC crowd control. And yeah, he can lock down enemy cores, enemy carries, and if he does, then basically that's already a one team fight for you guys. So let's go on to the next tank I can see on the list. So here's my personal favorite, Atlas. So because of the emergence of Diggy nowadays, like usually I'll put him in S tier just because of his presence alone. Like the presence of his ult is just so game changing because once you learn how to manipulate your enemies' minds, like you can make them think you're going to ult, but you're not actually going to ult. So, but I'll put him in A tier just because he can be countered by other heroes like Diggy, Jawhead, like he can be countered by many, and if we don't master him, like I think Atlas is easy to play, like has a low floor, but also has a high skill like ceiling. And so I'll put him in the A tier just for that reason alone. He's average right now, maybe above average since he can force people to literally change their game plans. Like if they pick Diggy, you're countered, but that might change their game plan. They might be not comfortable with using Diggy in their lineup, or like you can force them to change their spells. Like they can choose Purify instead of a Flicker. So yeah, I mean, but I'll put him in A tier simply because there are other tanks better than him. So next is Baksha. Now, Baksha is much better as an explainer right now. But if you use him as tank, let's just put him in B tier. You know, the best thing about him is his passive, which is, you know, anti-heal. That's good, but he's better with gaining more levels in the XP lane than, you know, having less resources as a tank. So Belleric, I have to choose between C or D. But let's just put him on C because I'm kind today. I'm feeling kind. C tier, he's much better as an XP laner too, and he's very situational. Like you only pick him when there's a Claude on the enemy team, and that's it. Like he can counter Claude, maybe like even Silvana in a little bit, but well, Silvana is, we'll talk about Silvana later, but yeah, I'll put him in the C tier. So here's one. I'll put, like, Carmela is considered a support, but in scrims I use her as a tank. So let's just put her at B tier. She is average, very good in certain team comps, and her ultimate is just a game changer. But the problem with her is her lack of a gap closer. So yeah, I mean, with her lack of a gap closer, it just makes her harder. It makes uh for her to have a harder time dealing with mobile targets like maybe Claude. But yeah. So Chu, I'm not really a Chu user, but I'll put him in A tier just because a good Cho user, tank user, can be so beneficial to a team. Like, they can provide so much pressure in the early game, and his kick can single out a target. Not as good as Akai though, but you know, can can be good at everything. What did I just say? Anyways, maybe I can put Diggy, since Diggy sometimes plays in a role of a tank. So let's just put Diggy at the middle of the S tier. Let's put him at S tier. Simply because of the ultimate and the vision, and wait, there's so many things about Diggy that his ult just what's it called? It just overshadows everything in his kit. His second is good for catching out targets. Like, it forces them to stay at that location, because if they don't, they'll be teleported back to where you press your second on them. So I do think that Diggy is in the place of a tank. Like, you can play Diggy as a tank, not really as a tank role, but in the place of a tank. Let's just call it that. But Diggy with tank build, you can build Diggy with a tank build, and yeah, it's his utility is just so much. Vision control is great, and yeah. So let's find other tanks. Franco, let's put it in D tier. Very situational. Not really situational. Like, no one uses him anymore, because if you miss your hook, you're basically useless. I mean, his ult is one of the two ults that can't be purified in the game, along with Kaja's ult. But yeah, I mean, there's so much better heroes out there that you should pick instead of Franco. Gatot, let's just put at C tier. Much better as an offlaner. Well, hasn't been seen as an offlaner in the current meta, but still could work as a setter if Baksha is, not open somehow. Like, you can use a Gatot on the team, but there's so much better tanks at the moment. Oh, here's my favorite hero, Grog. Let's put Grog at A tier. I was gonna put Grog at S tier, but Grog right now is kind of a weird spot where you can put him as an offlaner and he'll do well, because he just deals so much damage in the early game. You can build him damage early game, but as a tank, he doesn't have the same invading what's it called? He doesn't have the same pressure he used to have before, because Like, his mobility, I mean, his passive got nerfed, and so that alone just is a big deal breaker for me because his passive is one of the most important things in his kit. And once it got nerfed, he just moved from the OP tier, OP to S tier, from OP to S tier to now the A tier, because an experienced Grog can still do great in the game, but it's just hard to maneuver him right now. And well, if you master him, maybe you can put him in some like versus Digi matchups, but there's some I can teach you how to counter Digi's attack later on. So yeah, I mean, there's so much better choice than Grog. There's a much better choice, one clear choice in the meta right now that can deal a lot of damage and can invade and provide immense pressure early game. And I'll try to look. Oh yeah, I think she's the next one. Yeah, she's the next one. S tier, Hilda. Might seem a surprise because you rarely see her nowadays, but I think Hilda is still a great tank just because of her immense pressure, and she can counter Claude, and Claude is one of the strongest carries in the game right now. If Claude is put in a core position, Hilda can sustain Claude's early game, and she can just invade Claude over and over again and make his life a living hell. And just because of that, I'll put Hilda in the S tier. And also, she's better at Grog? She's better than Grog at providing pressure. And so, because of that, I'll put her in the S tier. Just below Digi though, because Digi provides so much more utility. And if you don't snowball as Hilda, you'll be useless. Like, you'll still be tanky with in jungle fights, but in like 5v5 team fights in the middle lane or in other lanes, it will be hard for Hilda to maneuver since her playstyle is more geared towards skirmishes in the bushes, skirmishes in the jungle, in the river. She's much more suited in that case rather than, you know, a full-blown 5-on-5 team fight where she doesn't shine in. She shines in mostly, as I said, early game skirmishes. Once she gets full stacks of her ult, she can single out a carry in the team fight and make sure that they don't join the team fight anymore because of the damage Hilda has dealt. Hylos. Can be countered to Natalia, but just put Hylos at the top of the B tier. Maybe I have bias on Grog being in the A tier. Maybe I should put him down in B tier instead. Yeah, I should put Grog in B tier. So Hylos is another one of those heroes that can provide insane pressure early game. Like, if you find their comp low damage, a low damage early game, then you can invade as Hylos and make sure, I guarantee you'll get a kill, at least a kill. I mean, you'll die, but at least you got the kill with Revitalize, and you're second on a buff. Basically, Hylos is great at soaking and dealing damage at the same time, but there's so much more better tanks at doing that, like at the OP tier. So I'll put him at B tier just because he doesn't suit the current meta. Like he doesn't have another, that's what I've said with Carmilla. He doesn't have a gap closer. I mean, he has his ult, but he can be kited easily if the enemies play it right and they just play around his ult. So next is Jawhead. Now just put Jawhead at the OP tier, like straight up OP. I'm not a great Jawhead user at any means, but still, like, Jawhead is one of the strongest tanks right now. I'll explain why in a couple of reasons. First is his great help in the jungle. Like you can invade, solo invade red buff, and you can steal a buff as a tank, level 1. Or you can help your enemy carry, ally carry to have a faster buff kill than the enemy core. So, and his presence is most felt in the early game since he deals a lot of damage early game with his first, and his CC early game is just one of the best, I can say, because this disposition that he is not even, I don't know if that's a real word. I mean, that might be a word, but anyways, his CC is great. His damage is great. He's great early game, and early game is the name of the game right now for me. I think it's the name of the game in Mobile Legends right now. It's just pure early game. If you get an early game lead, it's easy to turn that into a win because you can control turtle fights, you can gain so much snowball from that, and so because of that, Jawhead is in OP tier. So who's next? Johnson. C tier. Let's respect Johnson users. I mean, a great Johnson can do so much, but there's only so much Johnson can do. Like without his ult, you're basically nothing but a ult bot. And yeah, I mean, he's only useful for his ult. He can provide so much pressure with his ult, but it's just so situational that I'll put him in C tier. Maybe, yeah, just the right place. Khalid, some use him as a tank. Let's put him in C tier. Deals good damage, can be countered to Diggy, because he doesn't have CC pre-level 4. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Was that a right use for that word? Anyways, doesn't sound that great, but his damage early game is kinda broken, and him as a tank, you can flex Kal as a tank just to, I don't know, have some flexibility in the composition. You can maybe slot him in the earlier stages of drafting, and you can flex him in the tank role later if you don't find a suitable tank for Diggy, for you to counter Diggy. So yeah, Khalid in the C tier. Kufra, let's put him in the B tier. Kufra, I mean, like, he's so much better than Grog though, I think, because his CC is just top tier. Like, he has CC in every part of his kit. But the problem is, when they nerfed the flicker interaction with the second, I mean, it was, Kufra was used to be so broken because of that. But now, you can pick Kufra to counter dash heavy heroes, like maybe a Harit or a 1-1, maybe, or Chu, or like basically dash heroes that has a lot of dashes in their kit. You can use Kufra to do that, but I think Alice is a better setter than Kufra. I mean, Kufra's set is situational. You need to have the wall, while Alice can just be in a open area and can set. I mean, the same can be said to an Akai, but Akai has better lockdown, has a longer lockdown than Kufra right now, and Kufra can be easily countered by Jawhead, which Jawhead is OP right now. So yeah, I mean that's tough because you can counter Kufra just by finding where he is and just disrupting his stretch or something, or his first skill. I forgot what his first skill is called. But yeah, if you can interrupt that, then Kufra will be, not great for the enemy team. So let's find the next tank. Lolita C tier is very situational. I can put her at D tier, but that's just for Franco. I mean, you can use Lolita in some situations, like maybe to counter Chang'e. I don't know why would you want to counter Chang'e right now. I mean, Chang'e's ult is great at wave clear, but like there's so much better tanks at doing Lolita's job as to soak damage, and her CC is not bad, but not that great either. So that's why I'll put her C tier above Johnson at least. Let's find the next tank. Minotaur C tier. I don't know if I can classify Minotaur as a tank, but yeah, Minotaur C tier, very situational. I've actually seen some Minotaurs in, I don't know, in Indonesia, I think, or Singapore pro scene, but yeah, his ult can easily be disrupted. I used to use Minotaur as a 1-1 counter because of when he's in rage mode, you can use second and you'll just basically heal from the 1-1 ult, but yeah, not suitable for today's meta where there's a lot of CC. Diggy is in the meta, and Diggy just counters Minotaur so much, and there's a lot of other better CC options and tankier options. Then, I mean, Minotaur is one of the tankiest champions in the game, heroes in the game, but I do think that there's so much better. Matilda, I can, like, sometimes I use Matilda in place of tank in, like, not in scrims, but in, I've seen Matilda in pro play used as like a support tank. I can put her at the A tier. She deals good damage early game, has good utility with the second, and her ult is great at catching people off guard with the damage and also with the crowd control. So next is Mincetar tank was used. It's very situational in the M2 just to counter dash heroes too, but I think Kufra is better at doing that. Let's see. Natalia, let's just Popol tank, maybe at the B tier. Has great utility with his third skill with the vision. Has good damage early game. Has like seriously underrated CC because his ult plus first can just protect a an ally carry so much. It's actually annoying to face against a good Popol. But there's, as I've said earlier, there's so much more better champs. Heroes. So why does keep saying champs? Ruby Tank, the no need to explain that. Silvana, in my opinion, is the best tank in the game right now. Her damage early game is just bonkers. Her damage early game, her CC lockdown with her ult. You can usually do first kill plus flicker to surprise some enemies, to catch enemies off guard. You could do that. Just basically like a well-balanced tank. Not well-balanced, she's OP, but you know, she deals great damage, has great CC, is surprisingly tanky with the shield from her W, and scales well into a tank build. That's all I need to say about Silvana. Teresa tank, B tier. Can put here. Teresa tank will be buffed next patch, so might go up the ladder, go up the tier list later. But for now, B tier. Great lockdown with his ult, but that's all he can do. And his damage is not that bad early game, but if you face like so much mobility champions, heroes, why does I keep saying champions? Heroes, then yeah, I do think Turistla can be countered by that way. We're just having mobility heroes. Tigreal, C tier, can be easily countered. Easily a situation. Can I say situational, because it's not really good in any comp. Because you know, he's basically used. That's it. Like, his kit is straightforward, no need to explain. But yeah, I do think I don't know. I just don't like Tigreal in the meta right now. Uranus, much better as an XP laner. Did I mess out a tank? No, I don't think I did. Yeah, I think that's all the tanks. Like, maybe Benedetta tank, C tier, like right here. I don't know. This can be interchangeable. But that tank I can't explain because I haven't seen it yet. But I've heard some players trying it out, having some success on it, but I don't think it's. I think other tanks are better at doing her job. So I think that's it. Let's make sure I didn't miss a tank. Like, there are tanks classified in the game like Alice or like Balmond, but I'll not put them because no one uses them as tank nowadays. So yeah, I do think this is my tier list for now. It can change, but yeah, this is my tier list. I hope you learned something from my blabbering. I don't even know how many minutes this video has, but yeah, I hope you learned something, and I'll teach you later.